instead.
Yeah. What we got?
Sorry, I didn't know if I could
playing
reach
cards.
again.
Yeah, we're good.
Just like hold gesture and you can help yourself.
So we're
Do not
on
gamble
live with
your
Dryrun
I have to do a little
to do a demo with them on their app. So tell me all about your app. What do you got?
Okay, well, we're a Canadian company. We specialize in cash flow management and sales forecasting.
Awesome.
Okay, so generally we find that we appeal best to businesses that are $500,000 to about $10 million, and their accountants that serve them, and their advisors that serve them.
Perfect.
So what we do is we have a very comprehensive and highly visual dashboard.
We're looking at this one.
Yeah. Dashboard.
You're good.
Dashboard that from there we can help 2/3 forecast,
right,
and 1/3 communicate either accountant to client or client to team. Okay, so communication is the missing component, right?
Okay.
So let me show you. I'm going to go into my favorite cash flow forecast copy here.
Right.
Okay. So what I've done here is I brought in QuickBooks Online data, which I do per scenario. Okay. So you're inside one forecast that has multiple scenarios that you can run against one another.
Nice.
Okay. So at any point I can say, I had a bad dream about my business. It woke me up at 4 a.m. This is what I need to model out. Gas is going up. The price of my inventory is going up.
This client's not going to pay.
This client's not going to pay. I'm launching a new product. I'm not going to meet my budget. So any one of a million scenarios that affect a business owner on a daily basis. Okay. So each one of those could have a scenario.
Awesome.
But the first thing that I do is I start with a good data set. Okay. So that's where QBO comes in.
Right.
Okay. So we're going to pretend as though this was not connected, even though it is. You can see by this little QBO badge here. Okay. So I'm able to bring in the majority of transactional data from QBO. So you can see invoices, estimates, bills, purchases. I can bring in bank balance either to month start or daily if I really need to grind it for a couple months.
I like that option.
Thank you.
Amazing. Yeah.
Okay. I double check if I'm the accountant or the advisor. I double check to make sure that the date range is about a year's worth of historical data. But really, I'll tell you, we are operational, so we are forward-looking. Okay. Not strong on reporting. Okay. So, and that's intentional. I'm
not sure if we're getting the finger off there and the face. Like that would be important.
And make sure that your company is accurate because we do connect to multiple companies. Okay. So if you yourself had multiple credentials that you had to batch enter and then just flip between them, that's okay. All right, but just make sure you're connected to the right one. Okay. And you would hit save and refresh. I'm just going to hit cancel here. That data is in your first scenario.
Cool.
Okay. So it comes into one of 3 areas. So you've got your recurring costs of running your business. Okay. And then what tends to be a little bit of a bigger deal in terms of cash flow management would be your big bills and big invoices. Okay, so can I get paid before I have to make payroll? Can I take payment of this shipment prior to me having to buy more inventory? Like those kind of things that you're like, ooh, I might have to write like a big personal check if I can't get it together here. Right? So that's what we would like to avoid. Okay. Just to be clear. Okay. So
I think that's pretty clear. Yeah.
Thanks. I pride myself on being fairly clear.
Where's the recurring here?
The recurring is coming over from QBO. It does come from purchases and expenses.
So you're figuring out what the recurring is? It's not a recurring transaction in QBO.
It is a recurring. It can be a recurring transaction. Yeah. Okay. So after the first big data import, I advise that people go through and just double check to make sure everything arrived and it's acting as though it should. To give you an example of one thing that doesn't off the bat is those recurring transactions in QBO. When they come in, we have to do something special to them so that they continue to forecast forward, but that they don't create duplicate entries. Okay? Yeah. So I'm really proud of our rolling forecast items. Yeah. So that would be the workaround that we would employ for that.
Nice.
Okay?
Where's payroll?
Payroll does not come in. All right. Okay, so once we have a good data set in here, what I would have you do, so I tend to have people bring in everything that they can, okay, and then duplicate the scenario,
right,
and then you can either leave it connected or disconnect it, depending on whether you want that dynamic data or if you want static data for whatever you're trying to model,
right,
okay, and then you can start playing the what if game. What if I launch a new project in February? What would that look like? When do I anticipate first payment? How can I milestone my payments?
Right.
What happens if I need to bring my expenses down? What happens if my other expenses go up? What happens if cost of living goes up? So all these various millions of scenarios that I already referenced.
Yeah.
Okay. You're able to look daily, weekly, monthly.
Yeah, you're doing good.
All right. And
So, but also you were talking about like when it comes in, there was some like a forecast.
rolling forecast items is my favorite.
Yeah, how does that work?
Okay, so the coolest thing. So
See?
you just had to prime my pump again. Just get me going.
I'm like, what do you got?
Okay, so when an item is in QuickBooks as recurring, interestingly, it's like even though you've clicked recurring, it only appears in QuickBooks on the day of.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, but if you were trying to forecast that forward, that would be a difficulty because Dryrun can't import something that appears on the day of.
Yeah.
Right? So we've created a placeholder item.
Okay.
Okay? That self-destructs is my word of choice. When the real transaction comes over from QuickBooks Online.
Okay.
So you get the benefit of having that placeholder item for as long as you need it.
Right.
And then when the real transaction comes in, it disappears without creating that duplicate entry.
Right.
Okay?
That
So
makes
actually
sense.
you find that. You can add an item anytime.
Oh, cool.
Okay? And you just toggle it on rolling forecast item. All right?
Nice.
So, and you can basically, because this is future oriented, we made it as flexible as possible. You can change anything at any time.
Right.
And that's important because it's the future.
So when these things populate on here and I see stuff, would I see like what's in here?
Yes. So basically sitting in our QBO demo account that is fairly new, there's not a ton of data in there.
Data. You always have that
But
issue.
you would see a ton of stuff. Like it can be
so
as many categories
this
as you
could
have.
go
Big
much
time.
bigger. Okay.
Yeah. And then the really interesting thing, there doesn't appear to be one in here.
So it'll pull your expenses, all your historical expenses, and then project out. Yeah. You're seeing like what the trend is on those expenses?
You can see what the trend is.
Okay.
You can also...
Is that how it's doing the forecast? So is it automatically doing...
Yeah, it just keeps going forward.
Okay. So with that payroll question, if you do have payroll in here, it's... Yeah, the number's coming in from QBO. It's seeing it already. Except
for the payroll module, which is what I thought that lady was asking about.
No.
It doesn't come in. But if you had payroll data in
data.
Here,
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Because it's just another expense in here. It's exactly the same way.
And you also get the choice of, do I enter it as a recurring? Do I have people on salary? That's no big deal. Or is it something that I have to wait for QBO to come through on the download?
Okay.
It's just if you have hourly.
Will it pick up on the different payroll schedules? Like realize that it's on there in different times?
Yep. So we tried to make this because
you know how businesses actually operate?
That's our thing, right? Yeah. Because we come from small business.
Right.
So we have bi-weekly and semi-monthly for just that reason because...
And then like quarterly, every 3 months, I'm like
so
insurance or something like that.
Yeah, put in your taxes and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like we tried to make it as... Like business owners don't really like doing this stuff, and that's why they're so happy that their accountants.
Right, like at least I can set this up, and then they can look at it, and we can talk about it together and make adjustments if we need to, and that way they can feel comfortable with what's going forward. So, and what were the lines up on top?
Okay, so you've got.
Yeah, you're in this thing now. So
you've got two scenarios running. So basically, you're able to you're able to run them against one another.
And this is a cash balance, or what is this line? Or that's scenario and that scenario.
So this one is the I don't know
the
why.
month in cash.
somebody has made a change. So this one came in from QBO.
Played with you.
And somebody played with my demo data, which is the best. What's in here? I think somebody probably added a bill somewhere. They took something out. Yeah, I don't know.
Right.
You can manually change it. It doesn't write back to QBO.
Right.
Which is, so QBO is like our parent.
Right,
we're the
exactly.
child, right?
Yeah.
Right? You don't lip off to your parents, right?
So yeah, you can change it, and then once the reality happens, it'll overwrite that and keep on going forward.
Yeah.
That's
we needed
awesome.
it to be complementary.
Again, a way the cash flow forecast should work. And then we spend all this time trying to do an Excel.
You know what? We do speak to the Excel phobic. I get people on the phone that are like, I want to love Excel, I just don't. And I'm like, don't blame me.
Well, in the end, the part is like, if I were to do this, I have to export it to Excel. I have to figure out all of these things that you're doing, and then get the forecast, and then I have to redo it the next month or the next whenever.
I am actually a fairly risk averse person. So if I had a spreadsheet. Okay,
how many times am I going to mess that up?
Well,
get the formula wrong.
Or I hand it to somebody else.
Right.
Because I'm like, okay, Junior, you do this in our office, and they mess it up, and then basically I have a vested interest in not ever handing it off, right? So,
yes, this is you're automating that for you. Yeah. So, look, we have daily, weekly, and monthly. Okay.
Yeah. So if you really needed to drill down, you could actually enter a daily balance from your bank account.
Awesome.
You can change. Okay, you can change.
Because I feel like cash flow forecasts usually happen when someone's like, we're really tight right now. We need to get there, and then we'll expand once we get better. Yeah. Like get out of that cash crunch, and we can, look at the weekly, monthly.
I tell so many people, I'm such a strong advocate of, and I've started using more and more like graphic imagery. I'm like, when you're not treading water anymore, it's time to go up by the lighthouse and look out to the horizon.
Yes.
And we'll deal with your sales and revenue forecasts. Right.
But because at first, this is how it usually starts with business owners. They well, I have enough cash at the end of the week.
Yeah.
To run payroll.
Yeah.
Without
having
usually
to write a
payroll
check.
Yeah, it's usually payroll.
You know what? It usually is payroll.
Yeah.
Because they're like, I don't want to look my people in the face.
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah, it's tough.
And how much do I not pay myself to make sure I get payroll?
So people that are really into Dryrun, which is a growing number of users, take a look at it from a capacity point of view, a profit margin point of view. They take a look at it payment timing. So I get calls from people that are like, what can we do to get paid on time?
Right.
Or faster.
Nice.
Okay. So really one of the things that we advocate is you make your if you have a series of 4 payments, payment 3 is the one that pays right up to 95%. So you're done. 95% of your payments occur prior. And then that last 5% you say, don't you dare pay me until you've checked over everything to make sure that it's right.
Yeah.
And people just think that's genius because there's this whole mentality that they have to wait for payment until after the job is done.
Right. And
I would rather have somebody dine and dash on me for 5%.
Right.
Right? But it happens to people. Like they hang up projects for 35%, and they can't continue working.
Credit card fees are like 3%. So, I mean, if you're avoiding all of that and you're just getting paid straight or doing ACH or something like that, it's about the same. So, yeah.
So so we get people that are like really into it once they're no longer treading water.
Right. It's back
then
to
they're like, wow, I'm able to look at all these opportunities that having extra cash flow affords me. Right?
Exactly. And it is all about like you get different questions the more you get through this.
Yes. Yeah.
And it is constantly evolving, and it doesn't stop.
No, it doesn't stop. And I tell people, I'm like, you get out of it what you put into it, like flossing your teeth and going to the gym and eating vegetables, right? Yeah. We all know people that don't do those things. Yeah. And then, because they never really saw the point until later when they're like, wow, I'm really reaping.
Right, exactly.
So this is the same sort of thing. So we advise people to check in like twice a week with their dry run. Just have a coffee with your dry run, like a little date.
That's cute.
Okay.
Obvious. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for the demo. I love it.
Are welcome.
And we'll see you online. I know we will.
Love it.